Did new WandaVision photos confirm a major Marvel villain?
You're traveling through another multiverse. A multiverse not only of sight and sound, but of madness. A journey into a marvelous land whose borders are that of imagination and decades of comic book canon. There's a signpost up ahead. Your next stop, WandaVision.
Folks, our long national nightmare of spending a year almost entirely outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe is nearly over. While WandaVision still lacks a firm release date, the Disney Plus series starring Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff and Paul Bettany as the now very much alive Vision is scheduled to debut on Disney's streaming service sometime in December. Now, presumably, this is still the case because, much like putting the Mind Stone into a dormant synthezoid's body, the lumbering Marvel PR machine is activated once more, and they're back with a brand new spread of exclusive WandaVision images and cast interviews in Entertainment Weekly. So on Tuesday, EW shared a wealth of brand new still images from the set and conversations with the stars of WandaVision that reveal all types of cool details, like the fact they shot one episode in black and white in front of a live studio audience, and they used old school sitcom techniques from shows like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched so they can make it seem things like a wine bottle is floating across the room and pouring itself so they could accurately mimic Wanda's powers. But one photo in particular all but confirms our long-running theory about not only who the true villain of WandaVision will be, but also Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as well. And if we're right about this, that could be considered a spoiler. So if you're worried about that kind of thing, why not go make yourself a nice steaming hot pot of peppercash until this is all over?
Pinch of paprika. A pinch.
Still with us? Great. Okay, so WandaVision is easily one of Marvel's weirdest series yet. It features Scarlet Witch and the Vision living a life of married domestic bliss in this idyllic suburb. Described as a love letter to the golden age of television, WandaVision features the couple cycling through homages to different sitcoms across different decades as they live this seemingly perfect life. And as we learned from a blink and you'll miss it moment from that spot during the big game, they even have twin baby boys, a fact confirmed by one of EW's new photos featuring Vision raising a concerned hand toward a pregnant Wanda who's pressing her palm to her visible baby bump. Except there's just one problem here. The Vision died. Twice. In Avengers Infinity War, Thanos plucked the Mind Stone from Vision's forehead, killing the android Avenger and leaving Wanda not only devastated, but out for vengeance. So how'd we get here? Well, it's all due to Wanda's superhuman powers, called chaos magic or hex powers at various points in the comics. But in addition to creating powerful energy blasts, they also let her alter probability and reality as well. As we saw firsthand in Avengers Infinity War, she is incredibly powerful, capable of not only destroying an Infinity Stone, but repelling Thanos' Outriders too. In Avengers Endgame, she nearly defeated Thanos single-handed. That CrossFit California raisin had to cheat by ordering an orbital strike to interrupt Wanda's powerful flows of chaos magic. Marvel head honcho Kevin Feige confirmed Wanda's wild power levels in an interview with comicbook.com. I contend she would have taken down Thanos if he hadn't called the army. Now, this comes as no surprise to comic readers who know that Wanda is capable of changing the very fabric of the Marvel Universe itself, as demonstrated in the House of M storyline, from which WandaVision clearly seems to be drawing at least some inspiration. Presumably, that idyllic suburban life that Wanda has constructed is in some sort of pocket dimension, as illustrated by the presence of SWORD agents who are conducting an investigation in the trailer. But back to the matter at hand. Who is the big villain of WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Well, one could argue that it's Wanda herself, but she is merely the loaded gun being aimed at the fabric of space and time as we know it. So who's the one who's aiming this proverbial gun of the grief-stricken, traumatized Wanda Maximoff? None other than the demon Mephisto, who's seemingly poised to become one of the biggest villains of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the foreseeable future, affecting not only WandaVision and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but Spider-Man Sanctum Sanctorum, or whatever they're going to call that third Tom Holland starring Spider-Man movie. Now, the clues are all hiding in plain sight. The presence of Catherine Hahn as the witch Agatha Harkness, and Wanda and Vision's twin boys. As I broke down in a previous episode of Explainiac, the final issue of 1985's The Vision and Scarlet Witch maxi series introduced the world to Billy and Tommy, the twin sons of two characters who biologically should not be able to procreate, but, you know, comics. In West Coast Avengers number 51, though, we learn the shocking truth. These two kids aren't real. Wanda manifested them into our plane of existence through her chaos magic and her intense desire for a normal life with the man-droid she loves. And to make matters even worse, Billy and Tommy turn out to be fragments of someone else's soul. And that someone else? You guessed it, Mephisto. Now, the revelation that her children weren't real and her life is a lie drives Wanda mad with grief, shattering her reality. In the comics, Agatha Harkness magically erases Vision and Wanda's memory so they won't remember the fact that they had kids, real or otherwise. Something tells me this revelation in WandaVision is going to lead to Wanda tearing the multiverse apart like she did in Avengers Disassembled and the subsequent House of M miniseries after the terrible truth comes flooding back to her. Except this time, we'll have Mephisto gleefully watching and egging her on, leaving Doctor Strange to pick up the pieces and try to heal Wanda's wounded psyche in his most supernatural surgery yet. And as reconfirmed by Kevin Feige in the EW feature, Scarlet Witch will play a prominent role in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but how does Spider-Man tie into all of this? Well, we know that Benedict Cumberbatch is appearing as Doctor Strange in the third Tom Holland starring Spider-Man movie. With Peter Parker's secret identity publicly exposed at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, Peter and his loved ones are in danger from all manner of murderous lunatics who would seek to do them harm. Now, this immediately echoes one of the most controversial Spider-Man stories of all time, One More Day, in which Spider-Man strikes a deal with Mephisto to save a wounded Aunt May's life and make his identity secret once more in exchange for erasing his marriage to Mary Jane Watson. Now, if the third Spider-Man film does in fact do some sort of riff on this, updated or not, it would mean that Mephisto would be meddling in not just one, but two major storylines for Avengers characters, making this a job for none other than the Sorcerer Supreme. Now look, Mephisto might not be this Thanos-level villain of the next 3 phases of Marvel movies, but he is an incredibly powerful, immortal being who could serve as this terrific, terrifying way to bridge the gap between multiple movies and Disney Plus series and let Marvel hit the reset button after a fashion as we head into this bold new era of MCU storytelling. And I don't know about you folks, but the Mephisto trilogy has a certain ring to it if you ask me. Now the real questions are, where is Mephisto, when will he reveal himself, and what's his endgame?
We're in the endgame now.
We'll just have to wait until WandaVision premieres sometime in December to find out. But in the meantime, tell me, what do you think of this theory? Do you think Mephisto is going to be the new big bad of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Let's discuss in the comments below, and for the latest and greatest in the world of pop culture, make sure you stay tuned to Nerdist.com.